Hey, CityCast listeners, it's Megan. If you've been to the Strip, gosh, in the last 10 years, you know a lot has changed. And in a lot of ways, the anchor to all that is the Strip District Terminal. The historic 5-block building used to be the source for all the produce in Pittsburgh. And now it's an all-day destination for shopping, dining, working out, and more. There's the market on Saturdays, performances on Sundays, parking and retail discounts on Tuesdays. Check it all out for yourself in person and at stripdistrictterminal.com. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, lots of us have a favorite neighborhood coffee shop, somewhere probably close by where the barista knows your name or at least has a pretty good idea what you're going to order. And Pittsburgher Zach Lucas had that, but he wanted more. Hear about his family's A to Z coffee tour, plus their picks for coziest vibes, best community spirit, all around weirdest, and of course, the best brew in the burg. It's Thursday, August 10th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. You came to us with your ABCs of Pittsburgh coffee tour, which it sounds like you just mostly have wrapped up now. What was the genesis for the project?
Yeah, so my wife, Megan, and I, we had a baby boy named Benjamin.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. In September of 2022. And when he was a few months old, we were a little bit like, not stir crazy is maybe a strong word, but we were stir crazy. Let's be honest.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
You know, and we obviously we couldn't travel with our very young baby, but we could do a little bit of local travel, local tourism. And so we did that. We expressed that through this project that we kind of developed, the ABCs of Pittsburgh Coffee. And so we want it to be a little bit of a time capsule for Benjamin once he gets to coffee drinking age in many years from now, that what was the coffee scene like in Pittsburgh? And so every Monday morning, we went to a different Pittsburgh coffee shop, starting with A through B, C, and down through Z.
Can you give us the Sesame Street version, just like a first couple, like A is for, B is for, C is for?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sing, but I will do. So A is for Ada Coffee Shop. So they have a few locations. B was for Black Forge, the heavy metal themed coffee shop. They've since rebranded, so B is now for Biddle's Escape. C is for Constellation Coffee.
Did you actually make it to all the letters? It seems like some of them might be more difficult than others.
Yeah, that's a great call out. So we had 3 letters that we really kind of we couldn't find viable coffee shops for, so we kind of worked around it. So Q and Z. Apparently, there used to be a Zeke's Coffee, right, but that's now closed. Relatively recently, that was closed. And yeah, so then Q and X, we really kind of had to really get creative because we couldn't find any.
It's funny you said viable. What was the criteria for a viable coffee shop? Because I can think of a Z-named restaurant that serves coffee, Zenith in the South Side, but I don't know if they have an espresso machine. I don't think I've ever asked.
Yeah, ambiance, is there a welcoming atmosphere? There was each week I would try to do a quote unquote machine check. So I would see what kind of espresso machine that they're using. That was more of a joke than anything. And then just sort of, knowledge, and then quality of the coffee, right? Just sort of the beans that they use and how they're brewing and serving the coffee. And I do think milk choices is pretty big. So both dairy milk and then also milk alternatives.
I was going to say, did y'all order the same thing at every shop? Did you try different things? We had a big debate when we did our donut episode over here that should we have one donut that we order at every shop so that we're comparing apples to apples, or does it matter?
So we always did a down the middle drip coffee. What is their drip coffee?
Just plain black.
Yeah, just plain black. Then we would use this the second one to be a little bit more maybe if they had a special drink or something on the menu that was catching our eye. But for the most part, the second drink was an espresso based beverage for sure.
Yeah. There's an amazing map, y'all, by the way, that we will link in our show notes where Zach has put this whole thing together. So we'll make sure that you have access to that. Zach, how long did it take you to get to all of these stores?
It took a while. More than half a year. I mean, so we started, Benjamin was 2 months old, and we ended when Benjamin was about 9 months old.
Yeah, that's a solid number of coffee dates for the family. I like that.
Yeah.
Tell us how you chose the spots, and especially, I know like for some of them, it was probably tough just narrowing stuff down.
Right. Like we wanted to be pretty geographic with our dispersion. So like we optimized for that. And just sort of more unusual places. So like, for example, one of the highlights of the tour was E. E is for Echt in Mount Oliver. It's an unusual coffee shop that has a metalworking place in the building next to it. Like we were drinking cortados and hearing like slam, slam, slam. Like it was like, it was incredible experience. And just one of the places that we keep bringing up is just like, Echt was such a fun experience that we maybe wouldn't have got to if we had just sort of like the coffee shops that are in our sort of main rotation.
Yeah, totally. We just featured them actually in our Hey Pittsburgh newsletter neighborhood guide. That's super fun that you got to get over there. Hey, CityCast listeners, it's Megan. If you love good food, good drinks, and a healthy urban forest, you probably want to support Tree Pittsburgh at its annual celebration, Arborade. It's hosted at their beautiful 5-acre campus along the Allegheny River, and trust me, I have been before. It is a great time. General admission tickets are just $40, and they come with knowing that you're helping protect, support, and uplift generations of future Pittsburghers who deserve quality green space, and if they want, a beautiful tree in their own backyard. Mark your calendars for Arborade. That's Saturday, September 16th from 5 to 9 p.m. to celebrate the folks who are taking care of us through these trees and the mental, physical, and social benefits that they always provide. Check their website for more ticket options, including pay-what-you-can admission. That's at treepittsburgh.org. Well, let's get into some of those recommendations. I know you came up with some superlatives for us. And for each category, I believe you have a winner and a runner-up. Is that right?
That's right. That's right, Megan. So
yeah, let's start with the top. I know you sent us a few. We're going to throw in a few more. Most knowledgeable. And I assume you mean like the staff, the baristas, those kind of folks?
Right. And this one is number one with a star, Constellation Coffee on Penn Avenue. Amy and Cliff at Constellation are like, I feel like my personal Pittsburgh coffee gurus. They love talking about coffee. They know their stuff. They bring in a lot of roasters from around the country, and they just enjoy talking about coffee and serving coffee. And so I truly enjoy my visits to Constellation, and I think Amy and Cliff there do a great job.
I was talking to a dear barista friend of mine, and she was talking about kind of that difference between service and hospitality, that hospitality is sort of this step up. And it, for a lot of baristas, you take a great amount of pride in your work. Like the product really matters. The conversations that you have with people really matter. It sounds like maybe this is a spot like that for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Conversation is a great word there. Whenever I leave Constellation, I feel smarter about coffee and just with a little bit of pep in my step, I guess.
Yeah. What about cozy vibes? Like you could just settle into a chair and hang out for a little while.
Yeah, that's Big Dog Coffee in the South Side.
Okay.
Like it really, you get vibes of Central Perk from the show Friends. Really, just big, cushy couches, and it's the late 90s, and you're drinking good coffee. So that's super cozy, Big Dog.
What about most work friendly for customers? Like you could go and have a meeting or escape from your colleagues, but still get some stuff done.
For me, Calvin, KLVN, is a great work spot. And I think that does come through in the community because it is popping most work days. So that is a caveat that, like, you might have to wait for a table.
Yeah, that's that split between what, Larimer and Point Breeze?
That's right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What about community space? Like the kind of spot that gives back to its patrons, maybe through charity or just like hosting space, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a few that come to mind there. So Trace Brewing, the brewery in
Yeah.
Bloomfield, they serve coffee in the mornings. They serve Ghost Coffee, a local Pittsburgh roaster, and they have had latte art competitions. They have a lot of pride events. They had a Taylor Swift friendship bracelet event. They truly have ingratiated themselves, I think, in the community and with these events, and just this great space for coffee and then eventually in later beer. So yeah, Trace is the one that comes to mind. And a little bit further out is Vault Coffee in Pitcairn. Vault is in an old bank that was converted into a coffee shop, and so you can go into the vault and enjoy your cappuccino in the vault, sort of looking through this old bank vault. But also they just have a big community space in sort of the main strip there in Pitcairn. So Vault Coffee often comes to mind as like a community driven kind of coffee shop.
How about best or most interesting treats? It could be the coffee itself or the food that maybe is sold there, dealer's choice.
Georgie's in Shadyside comes to mind. They're pretty new on the scene. They have a biscuit with butter and jam that is delicious.
Your eyes kind of sparkled just for a second.
Yeah. It is one of those ones that like you really look forward to enjoying another of their treats. Those are more like the sweeter treats is what I enjoy at Georgie's, but savory treats. Field Day has some incredible lunch sandwiches. I think that's really credit to the driver of their menu, Joey Hilty. He does a great job there at Field Day.
Field Day is new to me. Where is that one located?
That's on Butler Street in Lower Lawrenceville.
Okay, cool. I'll have to get up there and check it out. Well, I feel like, and then you said Ect is probably your most unusual pick. Any runners up for that one?
So there were quite a few unusual ones, which is, that's probably yet another great thing about the Pittsburgh coffee scene, that it's not just, straight run-of-the-mill places.
Well, we won't limit you to two. If you've got some, you can tell us why they're weird and what you love about it.
Yeah, so Act is, as we said, Act is the most unusual. But like I said, Vault Coffee in an old bank, that's unusual and great. Our stop to La Prima in the CMU campus. So that was a great stop because we got to enjoy basically like walking through the maze of Carnegie Mellon, that hilly campus, and it definitely gets you're on a campus vibe. So that's fun. A few others that come to mind: Khyber Coffee in Polish Hill is Star Wars themed. Khyber is some sort of Star Wars crystal. Great coffee, and also a Star Wars theme is just that's a great.
It's
combo,
fun and it feels right for Polish Hill.
Yeah, right, totally. Here's like a off the cuff superlative. Khyber in Polish Hill is definitely where we heard the most how yin's doing in the real world, like just like earnest, like, hey, how yin's doing. So that's a big superlative for this project. Yeah, those are the ones that come to mind for sticking out, unusual.
Well, shout out to producer Maria for this question. I feel like so many coffee shops are happy to talk to you about their coffee beans and the way that they roast them. But then they'll like pour you chai from a box that you could buy at a grocery store. What do you think the best coffee shop is here in Pittsburgh for someone who doesn't drink coffee?
Ineffable Cafe on Penn Avenue comes to mind. They have great teas and specifically they have great boba tea. You could even argue that they are almost tea first, coffee second. I don't know if they would agree with that, but they have great tea there.
Well, let's round it out with probably the most obvious, but also sometimes the most elusive. Which one has the best coffee? Like no fuss, just straight up does it well, delicious every time.
I'm gonna cheat and say three.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. We love it.
Red Hawk Coffee, that they have a couple locations, and then Calvin, like we said, in Larimer, Point Breeze area. Those are both locally roasted, so those are just always good, I think. And then gonna come back to Constellation. I truly think that Constellation Coffee, while they don't roast their own coffee, they bring in truly great coffee that they know and that they can brew and serve very well. So those are the three that really are always hitting top of the list for me.
And now that you've made it through, I guess, probably an initial 26, it sounds like you probably aren't done there. Are there any spots that you did not make it to in this first round? Maybe they were the 4th or 5th C on your list that are on the list now?
Yeah, there are a few spots that we didn't make it to. Moonbeam Cafe in Oakmont, Round Table Coffee in Shadyside, and Cafe Conmigo in Wexford, up in Wexford in the North Hills. Those are the coffee shops that we didn't make the list, but like definitely feel like part of the scene that we should get to.
Definitely plan ahead for your plant budget when you make it to Conmigo.
Good tip.
Do you think that this project changed your relationship with Pittsburgh at all?
I think it strengthened my relationship to Pittsburgh. I do want to say that, like, I feel like I am a Pittsburgh coffee newbie. Like this is very much just sort of like, this was an expression of our desire to learn more about where we live and learn more about Pittsburgh. And there's a lot more for me and my family to learn and to just sort of explore the city even more. So yeah, it made me realize that there's a lot to Pittsburgh that we haven't experienced, and so it made me excited about the future and doing this again, revisiting this, that sort of thing.
And adding to the map, maybe?
Well, a few friends have been poking me and saying like, hey, now you should do the ABCs of Pittsburgh pizza. And Megan, I do think that the only issue is that you would do the best pizza, the first one, because A would be for Aiello's, and then you're done with the tour.
Wow, you're drawing a line in the sand really early here.
Yeah. I guess that's another maybe controversial take.
I think you're right. Zach Lucas is the mind behind the ABCs of Pittsburgh Coffee Tour. Please check out our show notes for the incredible map that he made with all the tour stops and runners-up. Zach, thank you so much for all of your hot coffee takes.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, CityCast.
A little news before you go. City Council voted to move around some COVID relief money to invest in a bunch of things: public safety vehicles, landslide remediation, some infrastructure projects, and even some individual stuff like rehabbing the new Granada Theater in the Hill District and some storefronts in Mellon Square. All of the federal funds from the American Rescue Plan Act must be used by the end of 2024. There's a new proposal to expand Bakery Square further down Penn Avenue. It's from Walnut Capital, and they're not really sure what all it might include yet. At a recent community meeting, folks weighed in on everything from the historical displacement of Black people in the area to traffic concerns, and whether the plans might be able to include some affordable food sources for the people who live nearby. Pretty sure this conversation is just getting started. And good news for our littlest readers, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is back in action here in Pittsburgh thanks to a partnership with the Benter Foundation. The Imagination Library, if you're not familiar, is super cool. Any child under age 5 can sign up to receive a free book every month delivered right to your home. We'll have a sign-up link in our show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If, like Zach, you've made this really cool map or just gotten super nerdy about a specific topic in Pittsburgh, we hope you'll let us know. You can always reach us via email or pittsburgh@citycast.fm, or you can call or text us. We're 412-212-8893. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you then.
Pittsburgh pizza is way more opinionated than Pittsburgh coffee, I think.